Hi, and welcome to our first video training series on how to sail. If you're like me, you're sitting in the north, all your boats are hauled out of the water, they're covered in snow, and it's February, and you're really pining away to sail, and all you can think about is sailing. So I decided, hey, this is a good time to start making some YouTube videos to show people how to sail. If you don't know me, my name is Captain Jeremy. I'm an American sailing instructor. I have been the owner of Reef Runner Sailing School since 2017. I've had locations in Panama City, Florida, a satellite branch down in Key Largo, and now we operate full-time out of Friendship, Maine. So to get right into it, this is our first episode of hopefully many, and this is going to really pair with what I would teach in the ASA 101 class. And today, I'm really going to focus on sail theory and what makes a sailboat move. If you've taken any of my classes, this will be a great refresher for you. Or if you were in one of my classes and I just went through it too fast, you can pause and slow it down at your own speed. Or if you're future students and you're ready to come sailing with me, this will help get you ready for class. And if you don't understand all of it, like I always say, it makes a lot more sense once we get out onto the boat. We're going to try a few new tools today. I've got a new whiteboard that's going to be digitally operated with our stylus pencil. So hopefully all this works out well. This is our first time, so if it doesn't look great, it will get better and better and better as we hopefully go. So let's jump right into it. If we were going to walk around a marina, or if we're going to walk around somewhere with a lot of boats, and we started asking people, what makes a sailboat move? Most people are going to go, it's the wind. And we're going to say, yes, that is correct. But how does the wind make a sailboat move? And that's what we're all here to learn, is what's the theory behind it? What's the physics behind it? And we could put it as simply as it's lift. Lift, that physics phenomenon that makes an airplane go up, is the same thing that makes our sailboat move forward. So if we transition over here to the whiteboard, we can think about the shape of a mainsail, or any sail really. If we think about it, most of those sails, if we see them out on the horizon, are going to be that really beautiful triangular shape. That triangular shape looks very two-dimensional, looks very flat when we're seeing it from a distance. Or if we're looking at some of those really race-oriented boats, looks super flat. However, those sails are sewn with some curvature into them. And that curvature is going to look a little bit more like this if we're looking at it from the top down. And I'll try to insert some pictures here, but this would be our mast, this would be the clew, and we are looking at the curvature, which you would see in a 103 book, maybe called core draft or core depth. But for the sake of what we're looking at, we just want to know that our sails have some curvature sewn into them. And that curvature is what helps create that physics phenomena of lift. So let's say that our wind is coming across from this direction, and let's actually change our wind to blue. Look at that. This is way better than my whiteboard in the classroom. And those of you that have sailed with me know I love my whiteboard and I love my little training tools. But this is our wind. It's all coming into this direction. And as that wind hits the mast, it's going to start to curl around those sails. So on the outer edge of that sail, this is the outer edge here. On that outer edge of the sail, the wind is actually going to speed up. In physics, they would say it's going to increase velocity. So we're just going to write in here that it has a higher velocity. The inside of that sail is actually going to slow that wind speed down, creating a lower velocity. Well, you don't have to remember any of this, but Bernoulli's principle, we talk about lift, we talk about physics. Bernoulli's principle says that if you have high velocity, that's going to equate to low pressure. You have low velocity, that's going to equate to high pressure. So now you've guessed it, we've got a high pressure side pushing onto a low pressure side. That's essentially what makes things go up, is that high pressure versus the low pressure. Now, I'm going to clear this screen, and you're probably thinking, well, if a sail is like this and the wind is hitting it, why doesn't the whole boat just go boom and knock down? And that's very intuitive of you, and it would, except for on the boats that we're sailing on, the boats that we're learning on, they have this, and I'm going to put our sail back up here like this. On the boats that we're learning on, they have this device called a keel. And the keel is a weighted mechanism that keeps the boat upright. So let's draw this again. We've got our mast, we've got our mainsail, we've got the hull of our boat. We may even have our jib or our Genoa sail out, and that keel down here. So as the wind comes in and it's creating all of this force and all of this pressure, that the boat is actually trying to get knocked down, the keel starts to rise up towards the surface of the water. As the keel starts to rise up towards the surface of the water, it creates more and more and more resistance to the point where there's a path of least resistance, and that's going to be to propel our boat in a forward direction. So our sails with the wind versus the keel create the propulsion in the direction that we want to go. That, in a nutshell, is how lift makes our sailboat propel forward. We've talked about how lift is propelling our boat forward. We talked about how the keel is working, but how do we manipulate some more speed or a little bit less speed? Or why does all that curvature even matter? You could sail a lifetime without ever knowing that. I've met a lot of sailors. I've known a lot of people that have sailed for 60 plus years. They've never even heard of Bernoulli. They've never even heard of lift. They know how to make their boat move forward. But why I like to talk about it and why I think it's something important to know is let's again look at the curvature of that sail. We'll just call this one the mainsail again. Here's our mast. Here's the aft end of that sail where the clew is. And we'll talk about another day the chord draft and the chord depth. But there's a line attached to the clew. That line is called an outhaul. If we pull that outhaul, we tighten it, it's going to pull the clew further aft, or it's going to pull further back. As it pulls back, it's going to flatten that sail out. If we flatten that sail out, think about the effect of the wind. There's not as great of a curvature anymore that we did have, where the wind was able to really speed up and create a higher velocity and create a lower pressure. If we flatten that sail out, it equalizes that wind speed, or at least the wind velocities get a little closer together, meaning there's not as much of a pressure gradient. So as the wind starts to increase, before we get to the point of reefing or making our sail smaller, we could flatten that sail out, especially the mainsail. We can flatten that sail out and really depower it. Let's say we're out in some really light winds, 5, 6, 7, 8 knots usually works well for us. We have that curvature in our sail again, and we want to create a little bit more speed, or maybe we're trying to be a little competitive with some other Pearson 31-2s out there. That's what Atlas is. We might take that outhaul line that's at the aft end of the sail where the clew is at, and we might ease it, meaning we let it go forward. So if we ease it, letting that line go forward, that's going to essentially bring the clew further forward to about maybe here, and that's going to create a really big dramatic curve, and it doesn't take a lot. We're talking a matter of inches of movement of that clew creates a bigger curve. Or chord draft. We're creating a larger belly in the sail, and that larger belly is going to create a bigger pressure difference between the outer side of that sail and the inner side of the sail, so it gives us a little bit of a boost of speed. So if we're sailing along in 5 knots of wind and we want to eke out another half a knot or maybe even a knot of speed, we might adjust that sail to give it a bigger belly. That's going to help create more lift and help us move forward just a little bit faster. If the winds start to pick up to 10 to 12 knots, we might pull it back to that standard position in the center, which might be just about 2 inches. And then if the winds start to really pick up, but not to the point where we think we're out of control and need to reef, we're going to pull it all the way back and really flatten the foot of the sail, eliminating some chord draft or the depth of that sail. Now we've got a good understanding of how lift works, how it's helping propel our sailboat forward. So if we think about all of those points of sail, if you don't know them yet, that's going to be the next episode. It's coming soon, the points of sail. That's how we learn, how do we position our sails in relationship to the wind to get the most efficiency out of our boat. But if we think about lift, and we're thinking about those points of sail, lift is really working most on your close hauled, close reach, beam reach, broad reach to some degree, yes. And then when we get the wind directly behind us on that insert whiteboard, on that dead downwind run, we've got the wind directly behind us. We've got our genoa or jib out to one side, and we've got our mainsail out to the other side. Then we're just getting pushed along. Very similar to how Magellan found the trade winds and explored the world. And all the other explorers, not just Magellan. Here you go. Here's a great picture where you can really see the curvature in that mainsail. And here is a great example of you can really see the curvature in that jib. No matter how tight we pull those sheets, that sail's not going to get any flatter unless we make some very specific adjustments. So that's the first part of class. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment section below. If you want to see some more videos, Maybe I have them linked. Maybe I don't know how to do that yet. We'll see. Thank you.